Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Hello and welcome to Energy Outlook. My name is Chioma Kalu and I'm your host for tonight. So we would be shining the spotlight on a critical challenge with global implications. And that challenge is smarter energy use for SMEs. Now in Nigeria, SMEs face some of the highest energy costs now worldwide. You know, energy tariffs now hover around 225 naira per kilowatt hour, placing Nigeria behind only Germany and the UK in costliness. Now, combined with frequent outages, many businesses spend 56 to 86% of their power needs on expensive diesel generators, contributing to total generator fuel and maintenance cost of about $10 billion annually. Power interruptions, averaging over 190 hours a year, reduce SME sales by around 15.6%. Now, by comparison, firms in East Asia suffer only 20 outage hours per month, and those in Latin America just 5 hours. Across Africa, SMEs lose up to 5% of annual sales due to unreliable power, with self-generation costing nearly $0.7 per kilowatt hour, far higher than Nigeria's grid rates. Now, although the emerging off-grid solar market shows promise, solar investments, for example, the systems that replace generators, remain out of reach for many due to upfront costs, often exceeding $5 million, while generator costs continue to consume up to 50% of operational budgets. That is it's a lot to take in, right? But anyway, let's go on a very short break. And when we come back, we'll look at some major developments shaping the future of Africa in the area of energy. Don't go anywhere.
Is a season of love. In partnership with Yasin, Heartlines will be giving away 4 luxurious, beautiful gifts to 4 lucky women. So stay tuned to the show to find out how you can win these incredible, luxurious gifts. And yes, gentlemen, you can participate to win on behalf of your better half, because truly, love is in the air. So catch me live Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. on Heartlines.
Welcome back. You are watching Energy Outlook, and here are major developments shaping Africa's energy future. The first news I have says, why Renaissance hits the ground running after acquisition of SPDC. You find this in the Business Day newspaper. The news reads, barely 1 month after taking over from Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, the wholly Nigerian company that acquired the Dutch company, Renaissance Africa Energy Limited, doubled the production they met and rose from 133,000 barrels per day to 230,000 barrels per day. This seemed to shock the world as many wondered what magic saw to this. Now, Renaissance has unveiled its short-term and medium-term targets, saying by January 2026, it would deliver 300,000 barrels per day. And in the next 3 years, it will hit 500,000 BPD. Now, Renaissance has, however, revealed the secret behind the rapid success by Nigerians, where outsiders may not have succeeded. The strategies and maybe secrets were unveiled at a sensitive forum, the annual lecture of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, held in Port Harcourt, Rivers State Capital, South Nigeria, on Thursday at the Golden Tulip Event Center at Sarawiwa Road in the Garden City. Moving on, the second story I have says, solar energy is Nigeria's most economically viable power model, REAMD. You find that in Naira Metrics. It reads, the managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, Abba Aliyu, has described solar energy as the most economically viable model of power. This was made known by Aliyu while featuring on Channel's television program, The Morning Brief, on Monday. Aliyu, who was answering the question on the most appropriate energy mix in the country, noted that they are discussing over models of power like wind, biomass, and so on. The REA boss, however, revealed that the federal government had to suspend action on biomass when they realized that the tariff was way above the allowable limit due to processing costs involved. Now, what the REAMD is saying, Aliyu pointed out that they are holding discussions on wind power model as they just signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian Wind Energy Council for small wind infrastructure that are economically viable as well as within allowable range. And moving on to my third story of interest, reps query NEC firms over 59 billion naira metering funds. You find that in Daily Trust newspaper. It reads, the Joint Committee of the House of Representatives investigating the disbursement and utilization of the 59 billion naira Central Bank of Nigeria loan for the National Mass Metering Program has queried the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, Meristem Wealth Management Limited, and NESI Stabilization Strategy Limited over alleged non-utilization of the fund. The lawmakers also questioned the approval granted to a firm to receive 0.5% of electricity distribution companies' annual collection up to 2030. In a statement on Saturday, the chairman of the Joint Committee, Honorable Uchenna Harris Okonkwo, said preliminary investigations showed that the NMMP was initiated by NEC and approved by the federal government in 2020 to close Nigeria's metering gap, encourage local metering manufacturing, reduce collection losses, and end estimated billing. That's interesting. The fourth story I have says Nigeria's clean energy transition gains global attention. Onwibo says, you find this in Vanguard. It says a member of the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, Rep. Sam Onwibo, has said Nigeria's sustained efforts to transition from fossil fuels to clean energy are gaining international recognition. That's interesting. Speaking to journalists in Abuja ahead of the pre-COP 30 parliamentary forum in Rio de Janeiro, Onwibo highlighted Nigeria's strategic leadership in addressing climate change challenges such as desertification, environmental degradation, forced migration, and water resource depletion. He emphasized the urgent need for a just transition to net zero carbon emission. The forum, which opens on the 27th of August, brings together 39 resource persons, including Onwibo, to deliberate on global climate action. Onwibo, who sponsored Nigeria's Landmark Climate Change Act of 2021, stressed that the country's participation in the forum underscores its commitment to climate justice and sustainability. You know, I really like that Nigerians are beginning to take climate change, you know, very seriously. I really like that we are picking up, you know, to catch up with other countries. Now to my final story of interest. NNPC others signed gas supply agreements with NLNG. You find that in Punch newspaper. It reads that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and 5 other upstream gas suppliers have signed long-term gas supply agreements with the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited for the delivery of 1.29 billion standard cubic feet of feed gas daily. According to separate statements on Friday by the NLNG and NNPC, the long-term agreements with options for extension were signed by the SNEPCO Sunlink High Project, the TEPNG, the AMNI JV IMA project, the NNPCL First EPJV, SNG NGML Owando NNPC EP, and the TEPNG JV Ubeta. The 1.9 BSCF per day of feed gas to NLNG would be gradually scaled up over a period of time. The 20-year agreement with extension options were signed at the NNPC Towers in Abuja on Friday by the NLNG and the AMNI International Petroleum Development Company Limited, the Sunlink Energies and Resources Limited, the First Exploration and Petroleum Development Company Limited, SNEPCO, NNPC Gas Marketing Limited, NNPC EP Limited, Shell Nigeria Gas Solutions Limited, Owendo Group, and Aradel Holdings, said the NNPC. Now, the agreement, it was said, aimed at bridging the prolonged shortfalls in upstream gas availability, marking a major boost for Nigeria's energy transition agenda and the federal government's gas reforms to strengthen the nation's economic prosperity and energy security. Now, that's all I have on my news interest for the day. Thank you for listening. I'll go on a short break, and just when we come back, we'll dive into our conversation for tonight, which is the smarter energy use for SMEs. And to lead me through this critical conversation, to lead us, pardon me, is our guest, Tayo Oyinlola, co-founder of the Owana Energy. So don't go anywhere. Stay with me. When we come back, we'll dive straight into the conversation.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Thank you for staying with us. We're still talking about something very timely and very important, and that is the smarter energy use for SMEs. And like I said earlier, leading us through this conversation, we have a guest in the studio tonight, Mr. Tayo Oyinlola, the co-founder of Owana Energy. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. All right, so diving into the conversation, right, the first thing I want to ask you, you're a co-founder, right? So I think this would make much sense to you, this conversation especially, right? So the first thing I want to find out is how much of an SME running cost in Nigeria is truly driven by power, and how does it feel heavier than just a line on the budget?
Okay, yeah, that's a really great question. I think for SMEs, they run anything between 30 to 50% of their operating costs on power, right? And for them, power is just not necessarily how much they pay for their utility, they also have to think about generator spend. They have to think about servicing. They have to think about, fueling that gen every week. They have to think about so many other things, which is just not one line item. It then comes to multiple line items that all have to do with energy, right? So it could even have maybe a solar solution or like a backup solution, right? So that might be 3 different costs, on just one single thing, which is energy. So it really is, it plays a huge part in the cost of a lot of SMEs today.
So, well, let's ask you in the line of Owana Energies,
Yes.
right? How do you guys do it?
Well, luckily for us, we're mostly off-grid.
Yeah.
But generally, prior to that, yes, a lot of our costs were energy related, because for any business, you have your staff coming, you have to think about internet, you have to think about, having the lights on when your staff are in. And in that way, they consume energy, right? And we find that to be one of the highest costs that in any business, no matter what sector you're operating in. And it's worse still if you're now into like manufacturing or you're into something where the constant light is needed.
All right, great. So, I mean, you said you guys are off grid. Good for you. But now, with the unreliable grid, of course, what other practical energy alternatives can SMEs realistically turn to without breaking the bank?
Yes, I would advocate solar for sure.
Okay.
Because I think a number of factors over the last maybe 3 years have sort of made the economics of solar make a lot of sense to businesses. So prior to that, the typical thing was, oh, solar is expensive. I'll just continue to manage my generator. But, by the time they removed fuel subsidy, by the time we had a little bit of devaluation in the Naira, a number of events, I think Dangote Refinery also coming online. There's so many things that then accumulated to make the case for solar very, very attractive to end users.
Okay, so, well, I know solar seems to be the first go-to, right? But is solar not expensive? I mean, I could consider it luxury for a lot of SMEs, right? Do you think it's actually realistic for a lot of SMEs now?
I'd say in today's market, yes. Yes. Again, that goes back to the, everything now making sense. So if you look at a business that maybe is spending 100,000 on fuel every month, right? This is minus if they have to service. This is minus a part gets installed and they'll have to spend extra and all of that. In a year, we're looking at over $1 million, right? If you get a system that's even, let's say, 2 million, and you pay off that system in a year and a half, for like 3-4 years after that, you have 0 in energy costs. And customers are not really taking that into consideration before they say, oh, solar is expensive. So what we do say is, yes, the initial or the upfront cost might be a lot, but the long-term benefits definitely outweigh, using a generator long-term.
So they should close their eye and buy it.
I mean, there are now so many ways that that companies make this affordable.
Okay.
That
So
encourages.
what are these ways? Yeah?
Oh yeah, so a lot of companies can either allow you take the system on lease to own basis, meaning you pay small until you own the system, right? So in that way, it allows you to stagger the payments. So for using that same analogy of a business that needs a 2 million system, instead of paying that 2 million upfront, they might have to pay about 30%, and then stagger the rest of the payments for up to like 2 years or something, right? So by the time you do the math, you then now see that, oh, this is actually going to work out for me, in the long term. And there's a lot of businesses that allow you to then take this system on credit, pretty much.
Okay. I mean, so you're saying it's genuinely cost saving.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on. What role does energy efficiency, simple changes like lighting, equipment use, scheduling, what role does it play, in reducing costs for SMEs now?
Well, it's really key. It's one of the things that we always advise to customers or people who are looking to get solutions. One of the things is by just reducing your energy intake, you're reducing your light bill. Like it goes hand in hand, right? So simple things like changing your bulbs to LED bulbs, simple things like going from a regular AC to an inverter AC, a regular freezer to an inverter freezer, right? A lot of those things would reduce your cost drastically because the technology today allows for this equipment to draw less electricity. And in that way, you're also saving your costs, especially now that, you know, a lot of people are metered and, you know, if you're in Band A, you already know.
Oh my
You already know what it
goodness.
is. So I think your appliances really, so the older appliances have a higher consumption than the new appliances out there. So it goes a long way and can reduce your cost by almost up to 50% just by
Interesting.
changing from, you know, regular AC to inverter AC or to like an inverter freezer for your business.
But do these SMEs fully understand what energy management is? Because, I mean, a lot of people run these SMEs, but they are
Yes.
very oblivious to what's happening out there that
Of
would
course.
actually help their businesses. So do they really understand, or is just about having power to work for them?
Yes, a lot of people. I would say before it was just about having power to be able to work, but you know, like I've said, the landscape has really changed over the years, right? And now with the bans, it's now even brought more attention to energy management and use of energy. You know, we see a lot of funny skits maybe of people when they when the Band-Aids thing first came into a car, where like they're turning off the ACs in the house, they turn off all the
Everything
lights, you know.
goes off.
Like if a visitor comes in, they'll turn it on a little bit. And then, you know,
I
I know people say it as a joke, but people are actually taking
Yeah.
notice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
People
as
do
to,
that.
you know, the difference between having my light on 24/7 and if I have my light on only when I need it. So one of the things that we also try to do is try to get these customers educated, because customer education is really key.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. How do we educate these people, right? I mean, you should know better. How do you, when they come in, how do you talk to them?
Yes, yeah, but the funny thing is a lot of these people are actually now out of necessity learning, because if I used to pay 20,000 every month for my energy and all of a sudden
You're paying
I'm
40.
paying 40, you know, so they're being forced to learn, but we also encourage them, and then we educate them on, you know, use of appliances, you know, using an appliance when you need it. In other countries it's a normal phenomenon. So I think that now that the prices of
Oh
energy are
my
really
God.
reflecting the true cost, we're going to see more people become energy efficient.
These days, you're leaving your house, and maybe when you're already on your way, you say, oh my God, I didn't turn
You
off
have to
my
start-
freezer.
You
And
go
then
back.
you're turning back. You know, I mean, they're going through a lot, too. I'm not even going to lie. Anyway, but what is the hidden cost of power for these small businesses, you know, beyond these PHCN bills
Yeah.
and the diesel, when you factor in lost hours, reduced productivity, equipment damage,
Exactly.
what actually is the hidden cost of power?
Yeah, there's so many costs that people don't consider, and I think one of them is manpower and lost hours generally,
okay.
right? So how many times is somebody in the office having to go and buy petrol or diesel, right? How many hours, you know, where do they have to go to, first of all? How long are they
Yeah.
going to be on a queue, right? You know, there was a time when there was a fuel scarcity and everything was upside down. Imagine spending almost a whole day at the filling station. So these type of things, they're not taking into account, you know, the man hours that are lost due to mundane tasks such as going to buy fuel. They really shouldn't, you know, be part of your day. Then we also look at lost revenue, right?
Okay.
If a small business, let's say a barber shop, that you obviously need light to work. If I come in and I say that there's no light, or I'm in a hurry and you're telling me, oh, let me quickly go and buy fuel before I come back and cut your hair, I'm going to lose that customer.
Definitely.
Right? So, so we're looking at value that's not being created simply because they don't have adequate power. So they're losing out on all that potential revenue. They're losing out on customers. They're losing out on time that can be used for productive things that are being used to do fixing a generator or, you know, all of that. So yeah, there are a lot of costs, but until you really break this down to an SME owner or a business owner, that they now really now take it in that, oh wow, a lot is being lost, you know, just by simply not being energy efficient.
Right. Right. I mean, I feel like a lot of education has to go down
Oh,
for these people
definitely.
because it goes beyond starting a business. You have to count your costs. And sometimes when you're counting your costs, you're not counting it appropriately.
Yes.
Because you don't even know what the bill that will come to you would
Exactly.
be. Right. And some of
Exactly.
them don't even have the patience to actually learn these things until they learn it the hard way.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, we're going to step out for a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue this insightful conversation. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, welcome back. We're still talking on the smarter energy use for SMEs. And my guest is still Mr. Tayo Oyinyola, the co-founder of Owana Energies, and he's been sharing his perspective on practical solutions for small businesses. So let's dive right back into it. Now, can renewable energy solutions be scaled down to suit micro and small businesses, not just large firms?
Oh, yes, yes. And that can be done. I think the great thing about solar is the fact that it's scalable.
Okay.
And you can start from really small, and scale it up to whatever, how big you want a project to be. We have solar systems as small as, 0.5 kVA, right, which is maybe similar to I Better Pass My Neighbor.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, so there are other systems that are even Pico Solar, much smaller than that, which typically thrive in completely off-grid areas or communities where they're not even connected to any form of electricity, right? So, and then there are other ways that solar can be afforded by these businesses. One is like by taking on energy as a service, right? So with energy as a service, you don't take on any initial costs. You just pay the bill. So they pretty much become your utility company. So they become your NEPA, right? So they would come and install panels for you, install the solar system, and then instead of you paying a NEPA bill for light that is not constant monthly, you're now paying for the solar bill that they bring to you on a monthly basis. So in that way, you're not taking any of the upfront costs. You're not thinking about, oh, I need to save towards getting this system. All you need to do is continue to pay your utility bill. It's just that now, instead of paying it to maybe a disco, you're now paying it to the solar company because you're completely off it. So there are so many innovative ways that solar companies are coming up with to allow SMEs afford, even with no upfront costs, right? And I think a lot more innovative ways are going to come up for these solar companies, that are going to come up from these solar companies for SMEs to really, really bring the price low and allow the barrier entry that currently exists to pretty much be eradicated.
So I never knew there's something that is equivalent to the small I pass my neighbor generator. And now I didn't know. Imagine those in communities that they can't even, get to this. How do you guys take these informations to them? Because most of them are suffering out of ignorance because
Yeah.
they don't know
They
these
don't know.
things. So aside when they come to you and you educate them, how do you take this information to them? I'm curious to know.
Yeah, I mean, so unfortunately, private companies will probably do what is best for them, right?
Okay.
And so they will look at markets where they can more likely make sales or whatnot. But I think one of the things that we can do is partner with organizations that are not necessarily profit driven, but to sort of sensitize. So it could either be NGOs, it can be government organizations. We try and work with them to try and sensitize those who are majorly not even connected to the grid, right? So going to these cities, having like town halls, sitting down with the community, talking to them, letting them know
Yeah.
what is available, letting them know what the dangers of their current energy sources are, because a lot of these people, they use either kerosene lamps or they use firewood, right? So giving them that knowledge, sensitizing them, and also being able to maybe provide a sample for them to see,
Right.
right? Because a lot of times seeing is believing.
Right.
So if you're
Especially in this case
especially
now.
exactly,
Yeah.
so you bring something, you bring an equipment to them, you show them that, oh, you can charge your phone at any time, as long as the sun is out, it's going to charge. You change their entire perspective on what energy can be. So that's what we sometimes try to work with these organizations to push, where it wouldn't be considered viable in a business in a business term, but it's necessary work that needs to be done.
Well, I mean, this is inside my village don't have electricity, so this is going to be nice when you tell them, oh, you have a means to, and there are communities like that
Oh, yes.
that would really make do with this. Anyway, moving forward, now, how can these SMEs now access financing or incentives to invest in cleaner and cheaper energy sources?
Right. Yeah, so today there's so many ways that you can actually access financing.
Okay.
Right. Starting from even the commercial banks now,
Okay.
they've all of a sudden started embracing solar financing. Before, it was such a thing where it was a no-no, they were not,
They didn't see the
they
vision.
didn't see the vision, they always wanted collateral or they wanted XYZ.
Yeah.
They made it so difficult to access a loan for a solar product. But now, a lot of them have made a U-turn and they're trying to gather people, so starting from the commercial banks, we also have like banks like BOI, for example, that have special solar initiatives,
Interesting.
right, that you can approach them if you have a quote, they'll help you. Another way is like the new wave of like fintechs or clean tech businesses, which Awana is one, right? So if you were to come on our platform, right, you would get all of the details of financing, who's providing the finance, what are the rates, who are the options out there, So for us as a business, that's really what we do, right? So, but there's so many ways today, so you don't have to take a traditional loan from a bank. You can compare with a bank of industry. You can also compare with fintechs, right? So depending on what your own schedule is, if you want to pay long term, maybe 2-3 years, a
Yeah.
commercial bank might be better for you. If you want to pay short term in a couple of months, a fintech might be better for you because they probably will charge you on month interest,
Okay.
right? And so the shorter months you do, the
The
less your
shorter your
interest
interest.
will be compared
Okay.
to like a yearly interest that the bank will give you that's fixed for 2 years. So now there's so many ways that are out there for these businesses to afford or to know about what's on the table in terms of financing or accessing that. But I would say the best place is probably Owana's website.
I mean, I think I was expecting you to do that, but it's okay. It's really okay. But now, some of these businesses, some of them can actually feel, and maybe to an extent, don't have what it takes to actually go by themselves and get this financing, right? Is it possible for them to, collaborate, pool resources with their fellow small businesses, right, to go get these loans or whatever to share, share the
Yes, share the cost of
yeah
it.
the cost.
Yes, I think this works best for communities or for markets where there's a cluster
Okay.
of businesses,
Okay.
right? Where a number of businesses operate. Typical marketplace like, I don't know, Isaleko or somewhere in Lagos,
okay.
Where there's like a cluster of businesses and then they can all come together
Yeah.
to pool, and that allows them to get better deals on the pricing.
Okay.
It allows them to also join money together in terms of if they need to put an equity contribution towards a system, for example, like 30%, right? But if they all contribute, then it's easier for them to reach that goal,
Yeah.
right? So I think there've been a number of pilot solutions where in markets, they all come together, and then they have the entire market powered by solar. And it's taking off slowly, but again, it has to do with collaboration, right? So
Yeah.
as long as everybody is not on the same page, it makes it a little bit difficult. But the truth is, the realities, I think before, maybe it could have been thought of as a luxury, but the realities of today, you need to have power, and you can't, it's not sustainable
Yeah.
to you do that using petrol, right? We already talked about how, it's cutting into almost 50%
Yeah.
of businesses, right? Imagine, going from how much was petrol to about 800 today. It's ridiculous,
It
right?
is.
So a lot of these businesses, it's now a thing of it's necessary, right? The economics now don't make any sense to continue to use that like a generator. So they say, you know what, we need to make that switch. But communities can also, just as long as they're all on the same page, it's very possible. It's been piloted in a number of markets, and I think that's probably the best solution for a cluster.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's going to help them a lot.
Yeah.
Coming together. So now moving on to the side of the government, right? I mean, SMEs are trying their best. But now what policies or government frameworks do you think could help SMEs reduce their energy burden without, stifling their operations?
Yeah, so for me, the government has a lot to do in terms of appropriate policies that allow, I think, starting from solar companies to reduce their costs, which then trickles down to the whoever is going to use the system. One of them, which I think is really commendable, is I think from next year, solar companies or those who are selling equipment wouldn't be required to pay VAT. Right. So now that would sort of trickle down into reducing the cost of a system, because today what we find is if I'm a solar installer but not a bulk buyer, right? If I buy from a bulk buyer, I'm most likely going to pay VAT, right? And then when I'm extending that system to another customer, I'm going to charge them VAT, simply because the government has said, if there's a threshold of 25 million, you have to, be remitting and all of that. So, that would, so I think, removing that VAT for one would help to reduce the cost generally. I think also there's been a lot of talk around potentially banning the import of solar panels. That's one of the things that for us, we're not too sure that that's okay.
Okay, tell me, why don't you think it's a good idea?
Because at the end of the day, when we look at the demand, right, and the supply, it's a demand and supply game. I understand from the point where by banning importation, you allow local production, right? But that's only if local production can meet the demand on ground. If not, what it then means is whoever has panels on ground is going to sell it at whatever price, and anybody's just going to have to buy. So it might work counterproductive unless we have enough production in country that allows us to meet the demand, and then they can even start exporting what they're producing. So I think, banning solar importation, maybe not right now.
But then again, just
but then,
do you think you guys or whoever is going to trust Nigeria enough to actually buy from them?
Oh yeah, they're great. They're great. There's some companies that are already producing in Nigeria, and they're producing great products, right? So it's just a thing of, I guess, more trust in the market.
Yeah, that's where I'm driving at.
Yeah, more trust in the market is needed, and that would be helped if we have organizations like SON, making sure that whatever has been produced in Nigeria is top grade quality. Right. So that's another way that government can come in and to
quality assurance,
make sure that quality assurance on any product that is being produced here, and then it gives the public some sort of comforts. Right, to adopt some of the systems.
I don't know how that's going to work, because there's going to need a lot of mind shift, right? Because we already feel like made in Nigeria. You're looking at, we tend to have a lot of trust when we import it. But I hope you guys, I hope you guys will want to explore those options, right? Anyway, moving on beyond the costing now, how can smarter energies make SMEs more competitive and sustain them in the long run?
I think smarter energy use first of all, reduces your costs.
Yeah.
Right. And for any business, the lower your costs, better your margins generally.
I mean, if everybody's cost is reduced now,
Right.
what other ways can can it make you more competitive?
Oh yeah, yeah. So then you become more competitive because you don't have to worry about things like diesel, petrol, or you don't have to worry about these type of somebody coming to cut your lights. Or,
I know.
so there's so many things. There's so many things that come off your table once energy security is in place. That allows you to then think around innovating for new products. Thinking around better offering a better service,
Yeah.
bettering your business. Maybe now you have the luxury of being more online, selling more online. Because you're able to, you have the energy because everything. If you want to be online, you need lights.
Definitely.
Right. So you can expand your business online. You're not worrying about little things.
Yes.
That are unfortunately such a big deal for SMEs today. So I think it puts them in a position to be more profitable in the long run.
And be in charge of their
Exactly.
businesses.
And be able to plan, right? Imagine not being certain that you run a laundry, for example, but you're not certain that there's going to be lights to iron the clothes, that have been washed. And if you're running the laundry, you're using a couple of irons, you're going to need a diesel generator.
Definitely.
So, so things like that, you can't really plan ahead. You're not thinking, okay, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 people on this shift because I know there's light that's going to power them. You need to be
Yes.
thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to put on the gen from this time to this time and bring everybody. So it doesn't allow you plan as well when you don't have that energy, when you don't have stable energy. So that all goes out of the way and that goes off the table, and it allows you just think about other things.
Yeah, I mean, this is really good. And then finally for me, right, if power is the backbone of business, yeah, what does it mean for the survival of Nigerian SMEs that still depend heavily on generators? Oh, my heart goes out to them. But what does it mean for them, though?
I mean, I like to look at things from the positive light, but it's not the most positive, unfortunately. It isn't really because if you have to, like I said before, if you have to be thinking about these little costs around diesel, then you're not thinking about growth, right?
Yes.
Because what you're thinking about is managing,
Just a run around in
right?
cycles, yeah.
Keeping my costs as manageable as possible.
Yes.
And then if I'm able to get, better revenue that will cover some costs, then great. But if not, let me just stay alive. And I don't think that that's the way that we're going to move forward, right?
Definitely.
If they say, SMEs are the backbone of our economy, if the SMEs are not moving forward or they're not being profitable, then it's going to have an adverse effect on our GDP, adverse effect
Definitely,
on
yeah.
all of that. So if we can get that right, I think it only bodes well for the country generally and prosperity generally, right? Because they can hire more people. Less people are unemployed. There's just there's such a chain reaction effect of just getting one thing right, that I think it's so key that that has to be
I know
done.
I said finally, but now just this question popped up in my head, right? Ever since the introduction of solar in Nigeria,
Yeah.
how has it caused a boost in our economy?
Oh, I think it's definitely driving it's driving growth because a lot of these businesses, like we said, that was one of the first things you mentioned. Power is half of their costs.
Yeah.
It really is. So you get that out of the way, you reduce that to 25%, 20% or less, as it should be in other countries, then you're looking at a completely different landscape, right? So the introduction of solar has definitely helped businesses. It's helped businesses cut on, their energy costs. It's also helped, I guess, businesses like ours to grow, right, and to meet new demand, because at the end of the day, we're still producing 5,000 megawatts or less in a country of over 200 million people, which is mind-blowing.
Anyway, thank you so much. So tonight's conversation, reminds us that the littlest things have the greatest impact, especially in the country here, right? So, I mean, I'd advise SMEs, to embrace change. If your business is going to grow, you have to embrace this change. So thank you so much, Mr. Tayo Iyola, for being here and for sharing your meaningful insights in this conversation. And as we wrap up, let's reflect on the words of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. He said, "We must conserve what we still have. We must restore what we've lost. And we must grow what we need to leave without degrading the planet for future generations to come." I hope we consume that, especially here in this country. Anyway, the dialogue doesn't end here. Join our conversations, engage in all our social media platforms at Energy Outlook Show, and share your thoughts using the hashtag Energy Outlook Show. And for more transformative discussions that drive impact, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. My name is Chioma Kalu, and thank you for watching. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember to build a transparent, inclusive, and sustainable energy future for Nigeria. Have a great day.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.